projects, and I'm on the steering committee for the 150 legacy projects. So I was asked to do a presentation about navigating futures, which is one of the projects that I initiated, and that has kind of morphed into also being the website for all the 150 legacy projects. So the general idea of the Navigating Futures project was to connect our communities who were impacted by the wreck of the SS Atlantic through creative collaborations, which included reflections about what we feel is important to kind of take and maintain from this history as we try to navigate a future that's both sustainable and collaborative. So it was meant to be creative collaborations that bring the communities together and reflect on our shared history. So the website is not just a documentation of the 150 legacy projects, it also is one of the projects. So I'm a documentary filmmaker, I do media art, and this is my art form. I won't say this is just my project because it was very, very collaborative, and I'm going to show you a few highlights of the site, and you'll see how many different people and organizations were involved. So if we can just start, yeah, this is, I don't know, has everybody seen this site at home? Have you had a chance to look through it? Have you had a chance to watch the videos, read the information? Some people have, some people haven't. So we're not gonna go through the whole thing. There's a lot of material, there's a lot of layers, there's a lot of projects, but hopefully you'll get enough of a taste to kind of understand a little bit more about the projects and about the Navigating Futures project, as well as where we're gonna head with that. So I'm looking at the same thing that you're looking at. I just wanna make sure. So the main page just introduces the project, and you can see that the site is meant to highlight all the different 150 legacy SS Atlantic projects. So listed here, we'll just briefly go through them, but before we do that, I just want to highlight, if you go to the About page, there, oh, if you go, it's on the top, all the links are on the top, there, the About. So that gives you a little bit for people about the SS Atlantic. This page is also meant to be used in educational settings, used by other community groups, used to kind of share information between the communities and to highlight some of what we've all done. So if you scroll down, you can see all the different project partners, starting with all the different organizations that were involved. We're not going to read through them all, but you can see even New Life Community Church is listed, and all the individual collaborators, so everybody who was involved in all the different projects. And then if you scroll down to the very bottom, so there was various people who were on the steering committee over the last 4 years, and then a bunch of different funders, partners, and organizations. So it is, I hope that everyone involved with the SS Atlantic is very proud of all this, because it was a massive, layered collaboration between community members, artists, businesses, organizations, and funding partners. So I'll just show you a little bit. If you go to the flags and stories, this was our first project, and this was part of the Navigating Futures project. So I started this project initially with Melinda Spooner, and we worked together at Atlantic Memorial School with a grade 3-4 class to do paintings that were on flags that were to be hung on the Blue Nose. And I worked, so she mostly worked with the kids doing the paintings, and I taught the children in the classes to do sound recording and write stories about each of their flags. So what's cool about this is if you click on, why don't you click on any one of the flags just once, and then you'll hear.
Hi, my name's Marissa, and I'm doing wool. The wool can make people's clothes. It is very important to keep people warm. It smells like sheep. It feels fluffy. And they took the sheep wool and put it on a wheel to make clothes.
So that's, each of the flags has a little story behind it. The class, we hosted a number of talks and workshops, so they learned about the history of the time. It's not all focused on the SS Atlantic, some of the flags are, but it is all focused on the history of our communities at the time of the wreck. I don't know if the audio, the speakers seem like they're just coming from back there. Are there any up here? Oh, you guys can hear it? Okay, it's just where I'm sitting. Great, okay. So you can listen to all these at home. This site works a lot better on a computer. It does work on a phone, but it's not as rich and fun to look at. So there are a number of flags. If you go down to the bottom, you can see, if you see more about the anniversary sale, we won't watch this little, just click on that. We won't watch the video there, but you can see that video shows the process of how the flags went on and what happened and where the Blue Nose went. But if you scroll down, you can see the photos of all the flags on the Blue Nose as it sailed into Terrence Bay. Just to move on, the next project was Local Pride. If you go to the top, oh yeah, there, that's great. So this was a project for Pride that Lynette Richards facilitated, and again, this is just part of the website to show what was happening during that year to commemorate the 150th anniversary. A number of community members came in, and if you scroll down, you can see all the artwork that they made, which was facilitated through this workshop by Lynette. So the next we'll go to the quilt, which we did have a big presentation and unveiling of the quilt. So we won't look at this in detail, but if you scroll down, just in case anybody hasn't seen the site, and click on one of the images, either in the squares around the outside or the active links, like you can click on the woman or the house in the actual quilt or the sky, and then just their videos that show.
The star in the quilt represents the flag, which is the White Star Line. This block was not easy for me. I think it was made twice as sample pieces, and then the third piece was actually the block. However, when it was finished and put together, it was redone again and again. But I'm very pleased with it, and the whole process of it was very interesting. I have never done paper piecing, so that was a new learning experience for me.
So each member in the quilting group has a short video where they talk about what they did in their involvement. There's also, which we won't show, there's 2 other pages. If you scroll to the bottom, there's a whole page about the process, which also, just click on that one for a sec, explore the process, where you can see the group of quilters, and then there's a video that shows the process of the group making the quilt. It's quite fun. It's a fun little video. The next project featured here is the monuments pages, which were just recently finished. If you, oh, sorry. Under projects, there, and then at the bottom, monuments. Great, thank you. So it talks about the 2 monuments that were created in Upper and Lower Prospect. And in the map, if you scroll down, there's a map where you click on each of the stars if you want to see who was involved with that particular monument, the community members that were involved. There was a lot of community involvement, people coming to watch the stone being carved, the process, and so you can kind of see all that. And really the site, I think this site just shows how many people were involved in each of these projects. Have you guys seen the video? Like, this was the one, it's a 6-minute video. I don't know if you have time or if you want to see it. It's the one about because we just put it up before the unveiling. Should we show that? Okay. Yeah, so we'll just show that one video, and...
My name is Avi Miller. I've been a stone carver for the last 27 years, and right now we're here at the stone shop of Coastal Restoration and Masonry, where we worked up these last 2 monuments for the SS Atlantic. The wharf over here is what you would see over here, along with the house and the people, and pointing out to where the wreck would have been. These were the designs that Lynette Richards did through consultations with the community and having several meetings with them. And, you know, having something like this makes it a whole lot easier to carve. There's really nice shading there, there's depth, and that's essentially what I was trying to show in the carving. Here we have our smaller monument for Upper Prospect, and this piece here would be the larger monument for Lower Prospect. When we first picked this piece, this was just essentially boulder, so all sides looked just like this, just like the original rough stone. So the first part would have been to smooth out a face of the stone in order to be able to apply the template. The initial work is done with a grinder with diamond blades. I can show you that one over here. We have smaller ones. We have much larger ones to take out when you're trying to take out bulk material. Once most of the bulk of the material was removed, we then start getting into our chisels. So generally, a lot of times, this would be the tool of choice. This is our mason's mallet. Because granite is as hard as it is, it made it a lot quicker on this job in particular to use the pneumatic hammer instead of the mallet. Although in some parts where you have to try to get a little bit more detailed, I did use it to get in here between the piers. That's where this little bent chisel comes in, because with a straight one, if you're going in, this side would be hitting right here and you wouldn't be able to get a decent angle. However, with a bent chisel, you can go here and you can work it without it hitting the top. So with stonework, you would start with the smallest chisels. The smallest chisels will plow through and remove the most material. So we would start with something like this. Essentially, there's just a piston inside here that goes up and down, that moves the chisel back and forth, and it just saves us time on the mallet. Once we finish off with a smaller chisel, we can then move on to something a little bit bigger. Actually, this one will work. Yeah. This helps us flatten out the areas and get a little bit more detail in there. And then when you're almost done, you can move on to a flatter chisel. This is also known as a bolster. And this would help you make a nice, smooth area over a larger area. Yeah, so you would work this one just like this. Since it's very difficult to hear any words when you're working, regardless of how loud the music is, actually I tend to put on a lot of techno just for the beats. This one has been ground down to a point so you can get into corners. This chisel is actually bent, and that allows you to get into areas that you normally wouldn't be able to get into if it's a tight spot. After the pieces worked, we smoothed it out, we cleaned everything up, and at that point it was ready for the sandblasting. We had rubber that was cut out in the shape of the letters. It was then put on, sandblasted, painted, and then the cleaning after the rubber membrane came off. There is something about putting the chisel to the stone and making something out of essentially nothing. That's very pleasing to me. And the permanence of stone, the fact that everything that I've ever made will be around for many, many years after I've gone, also tends to appeal to me. After meeting so many of the people from the villages and the descendants and seeing just how important it is to them, it makes it that much more important to me. And I want to try to make sure I do the best job I possibly can for them. I've been here now for 6 weeks working on these, and the work is all done, and we're just a couple days away from installation.
I don't know if you guys heard Abby say, I can't hear words to music, so I listen to techno. Some people have asked why there's this sound in the middle, but he does say it. It's a little bit hard to hear. I'll just say a little bit about the last project, Art and Nature. Art with Nature, which was a Navigating Futures project. So that was facilitated through the project, through our project, along with this website. So it was originally called Navigating Local Ecology. That's what we called the event. And it was kind of an ephemeral day-long experience shared by 35 local residents, artists, local businesses, and facilitators. The legacy part of this is actually the website. So this website, there's 6 pages, which are part of the Art with Nature section here, and that's why there's so many, is because that is the only thing remaining from that project. And what is shared here is nature and how it's woven together with an exploration of geography, history, foraging, food, and art. So on the site, you can see the route we took, download the local ecology handouts that we used, see what we foraged, learn about foraging. You can see images that people took when they were exploring with their cameras. We had underwater cameras. We found ingredients. We made food and art from what we foraged, and it's all on the site. And there are also cooking videos, so you can watch videos and download recipes about featuring, well, what we can forage in our local area. And it's all connected with history in the past, because that is what people used to use for food. So just to look at a few of these pages, the pages are linked through these little flowers. So I'll show you, for example, if you click on the nature one, and you scroll down, you can see these handouts that we prepared, where everybody on the kayaks and the hikes had a laminated double-sided handout, and through the website, people can just download those and create their own handouts, and it's all natural flora, fauna, etc. from our area that you can find around here. So if you scroll down a little bit further, this was the most sort of surprising, just keep scrolling down. These images are this was the biggest surprise, because we handed around these underwater cameras, which you can't really see what you're taking a photograph of, and then they're on actual film, so we had them developed, and these most beautiful, except for the mushroom, but all these images were taken with those cameras, and people were just kind of like exploring what they could see underwater through the cameras. There's one other, I'll show you two other pages here. If you click on the food page, there's a local person and business, Fred Dardenne, who does foraging workshops and who also now sells local food online through his shop. He's just in Prospect. And he was a big part of this day. So he created the menu. If you scroll down here, he created the menu. We had all snacks and food for the whole day made with local ingredients. And we created these very, very simple little cooking videos. So you can watch those. For example, if you go to the first video, the toasts with seaweed tartare and sea asparagus. We'll just watch like 1 minute of that so you can see him.
Hello, I'm Fred. I will show you a small recipe, very easy, about seaweed tartare. That's something very, very easy about the seaweed that all people can do.
These were delicious,
The
really
first
good.
step is to have some ingredients. We have a small piece of paper, a small piece of sea lettuce, okay,
Okay, so we're not going to watch the whole video.
dulse,
You guys can
but you
watch
can use
those
also another seaweed like
on your own if you're interested. Just to finish off, just if you go to the art page, we had 4 different art workshops, and one of them was fish prints. So Dave Adler from East Coast Outfitters facilitated that. You can see that's in the top image there, and if you scroll down, you can see a few other images. We're going to be creating these postcards, which feature each of the types of art forms, including food, and those will be available at the center. And at the bottom, there was also a station where we used, so it was sepia, which comes originally from squid ink. So we were writing with quill pens, and people wrote messages for these postcards. Anyways, I just wanted to highlight a few things on the site. I did want to say before I finish that absolutely essential to all of these projects and this project was the SS Atlantic steering committee. And the people for the duration of the last couple of years when we were doing these, Karen Vernon, who was the project manager, was absolutely crucial to this. We would not have been able to do any of this without a paid project manager. Then we had board liaisons for each of the projects. So on the steering committee, Gordon Steeves, Nora Straps, Joan Duggan, and Scott Balches, and then also myself, Margie Donovan, and Lynette Richards were on the committee. So the committee really kind of made all the decisions about these projects. It was very collaborative. People brought in other community members, and just having this committee was really essential. And I'm just saying this because you guys are the board and interested people, so that really worked. That was something that really worked. Yeah, and again, just explore the site, and especially if you want to look through, I'm not going to say all the partners and everybody who was involved, but they're all in there on the About page. And I think the SS Atlantic really should be incredibly proud of all these projects and this site, which features them. The last Navigating Futures project, which is not, it's a proposed project, so it's meant to be featured in the center once it's redesigned, is an interactive collage-based mural, which would include audiovisual elements created with participation from the community. So that is it's up in the air in terms of what exactly it's going to be until the board kind of firms up some of the plans for the redesign, because it's supposed to be part of the center, so it doesn't really make sense to just make something apart from knowing what the center is going to be like. So I'm looking forward to working with the board to figure that out. Thank you. Any questions, comments? Thank you, Joan. I think it's valuable too, so thanks.
I thought it was very nice. It's exciting to see it, what we talk about, but it's in a video or, you know, an area, just the
Yeah.
way he talks about his community connections and meeting people,
Yeah.
and the fact he spent, I would say, at least half an hour to an hour wandering around the site at the center, looking at things, talked to people. People came in to see him selecting rocks and cutting, and it was just a real collaborative, but he got right into it. He got right into his head. You
Yeah.
know. But as he says, he endured, these things will endure long after he's gone, but it's a phenomenal tribute, video tribute to me, to what happened this year, and a year and a half almost, right? So thank you very much, Ariella, for capturing that. Well, here comes the exciting time for me, I guess, where I read a report. And I go back to a few years ago, and I find that Nora took off, and I know Joan went to Ireland. And being in Ireland sort of woke me up as to the possibilities for maybe the SS Atlantic Heritage Park Society as we work towards the future. You see, in Ireland, with the financial support from the government and businesses, they built a very modern, tourism-friendly country. I noted that they don't have anything better than we do in Nova Scotia. It's just that they seem to have done a better job at it. So we need to get ourselves worked with our politicians and with our businesses now. So as a society and a group of communities, we need to push for support from the corporations and government. However, the driving force for the society is the people who live in the communities. If people did not step up to continue the story of the SS Atlantic about 70 years ago and incorporate it into a society, it would have disappeared. However, people in the communities have, over the years, continued to stay connected to their history, and that has defined the people who live in this area. They should be proud of what they've accomplished. So in the next few years, the society will enter a new phase, as it will need to set new priorities, complete the renewal of the director's manuals, for example, and raise funds, a lot of funds, using corporate sponsors, and focus on a redesign of our interpretive center in Terrence Bay. The operation of the center will need to be pulled together from various documents, various pictures we have, and make some decisions on how the center will operate in the future. After that, there will be no need to revamp the current operations manual at the center because it should all be done by then. The society will need to reach out using the internet and most recent methods to attract the public. Getting the attention of the public is not easy. Tourists are not traveling like they did prior to COVID, and the society will need to adapt how to relate the story to them. Many things the society does will need to be digitalized while maintaining a presence for people who can get to our museum, the center in Terrence Bay. The most recent monuments in Lower Prospect and Prospect are in beautiful settings, each with their own panels with QR codes linked to the web pages just to give them a start. Taking items from the center to more public views may be the way to go, but I don't want to lift the anchor personally. The society will need to reach out to members and approach corporations to support our work. We need to raise funds to balance the grant from Heritage Canada. This year, the Board of Directors had a lot on their plate, completing 3 of the 5 projects which are covered under the Heritage Canada grant. We entered into negotiations with St. Timothy and St. Paul's on a new land lease agreement. We ran a successful fundraising event in June at Whites Lake Legion. We've decided to participate in a 50-50 fundraising event, obtained a grant from the Prospect Road Ratepayers Association to cover the geocache projects that will, once the woods are opening up now, we'll be able to start placing them along the trails around the Terrence Bay Prospect area and Whites Lake. Finally, we obtained a grant recently from the Irish government, who want us to construct a kiosk highlighting the work of the Irish settlers in the communities. Also to come in the next year is a new ramp to replace the current one, bring it up to current building codes, and redesign plans for the center to make it able to reach out to the world via the internet. In order to complete the project this year, we hired a project manager, Karen Vernon, who put together an effective steering committee to complete 3 of the projects. Under her leadership, a lot of things were accomplished and a lot of local people were involved. As we saw tonight, this activity is shown and captured by aerial and now on the SS Atlantic 150 project site. If you haven't had a chance to visit the 2 monuments, pack a picnic bag or lunch and go down and sit there, enjoy it. I've been there twice, 2 lunches. So I would like to thank Karen. We gave her some flowers, but that certainly wasn't enough. But all the work she did as a project manager, as well as the members of the steering committee who have already been mentioned, so I won't repeat their names. But that also there's directors who also do a lot of the internal, behind-the-scenes things. Special thanks to Karen and Jeff Wilbert for their work on the 2024 data input and completion of the books. And recently we hired a bookkeeper for the 2025 who will provide great support for the directors. And the directors spent time preparing a letter and brochures so that when we begin approaching corporate sponsors, we will be able to do it in a professional way. One of the Society's cornerstones in this community of Terrence Bay is the center. As usual, John Corbett, organizing the museum from the continual maintenance of the property, building to hiring students, using federal and provincial grants, scheduling volunteers to run the tours, organizing the local crafters, providing Facebook posts, as well as putting the crafters' work on display on Facebook. So thank you, John, for great work this year on that area. The center has been well used this year with weddings, school visits, parties, receptions, and tea socials. The young ladies this year, I think, organized 3 to 4 tea socials, and they're totally enjoyed by the community, especially the blueberry cake, which people love. The Society continues to work on their director's manual to describe how the Society operates, and also a skill set for volunteers, so that volunteers are coming onto the board or working, they know what we're looking for. I would also like to thank our friends in government, local council Nancy Hartling, our MLA Ian Rankin, and our MP Lena Metledge-Diab. All 3 attended a number of events this year, so really appreciate their help. Also a big contributor this year, Coastal Renovations and Masonry in Goodwood. They made a huge financial contribution. We had new siding and a roof put on our storage shed at no expense to the Society through Trevor and his Rymark Siding Company, who supplied all the workers, paid for all the materials. It was just amazing. And then Terry Slonwhite and his son Josh McNeil and Madrid, I think I'm saying it right, Industries, are the individuals who repaired spindles, the gazebo, they repaired the signage at the mass grave. These and others are the unsung volunteers who live in their community and step up to help when they see it's needed. All of this could not happen without the passionate, constant support of board members, and I thank all of you for your hours of volunteer time and dedication to keeping the SS Atlantic story going and keeping the light burning for others to follow. So I thank you tonight. I'm not sure if Mabubar is here yet. Is he? 'Cause I got the bright lights in my face. There he is, okay. Mabubar, would you be able to do the 2024 financials at this time? Yep, okay. I'll let you have the mic. I'll get out of your way.
Yeah, so I'll go over the financial for the last year. So we have, if you can go a little bit lower, I start with the annual expense. This is the balance sheet. I'll come this a little bit later. If you can go a little bit lower, little bit, yes, lower, a little bit lower. Just after this. Lower, lower. Yes, from here. So this is the revenue, and we have some comparison of the revenue compared to last few years, last 5 years. So today we are presenting the 2024. On the revenue side, obviously the big chunk was on the projects, and our yearly operation, how it works, the project funding is like it's coming in and going out, so we have separate accounting for that. But what makes more difference is how the operation works, how much we spend for operations, how much the revenue we receive. So the two numbers are important here. The operational revenue is 33,000, and the total revenue 311,849. So as you can see, bulk of it is the project and the grants, which is earmarked for certain work, and that don't impact the operation. And if you go a little bit below on the expense side, the two number to look at, yes, the expense total is 51,000 and total expense is 329. So if we go with the operational, how we were this year, we had a deficit in this year. You can see like 33,000 in revenue, and of course 51,000 in total operation. The main reason, because in non-profit societies it's common, some years we have some savings, in some years there is some, we eat some of those revenues. This is one of the year. With this year's number, the deficiency was 18,000. But as you can see, that start of the year we have an equity of 30,000, so we have used more than half of the equity of the year. So that's the scenario where the balance sheet changes. And some key reason would be this year in terms of expenditure. You can see the wages and benefits are way higher than what we had last year. So we didn't, we had extra student, but in terms of grant, we received one less grant, so that added up. And also there are some other expenses you can see was consistent with the last year's. Now we'll go up at the balance sheet level. Yes, so here is where society stands. I think the numbers to look into in the lower, in the top we have the cash in hand, 10,000, and then the restricted cash is more about we have that, but that is earmarked for the work we need to do outside operations. And the assets are all the combinations of the assets we have, and they have some depreciation value. So at the end of the year, society has the asset around 80,000, but 10,000 is the cash, and the others are restricted, and some other in asset. That's what the asset look like. On the liability side, a little bit lower. Yes, the liability is at this point 68,000 with the deferred revenue, the restricted cash, and we can see if overall you have 12,000 in equity, then the liability. So overall society status, we are not in red. We have some money to start with the year. It was like January 1st, 2025. So we had last year as a deficit year, but I think this year is more about rebuilding, and we can rebuild some of those deficits this year. That's the target. And if we go a little bit lower on the detail about all the projects expense, I will not go further detail, but if you are interested, I can point out to far more detail. If you can go a little bit at the end of this document, last couple of numbers, especially with the legacy grant, we have all the numbers, what we spend over the year. But I think this is not complete because 2025 we have a lot of expense that is coming. So as a whole, this is the annual report for 2024. And I think The next thing, though it's a little bit late in the agenda, I would like to finish it right now, just show the budget of this year. If we have the third document. Yes, so this is the end of the year situation, and we have the budget. So the budget numbers is like a projection. It's not like an approved amount. And as you can see, the big number is the grant, the legacy grant, and the other grant. And those are some prediction or some projection that what we had in our proposal. If that we goes with that number, it shows that we'll also have some sort of deficit this year as well. But I think the board is working on a revised plan on have more, I would say, source of income in terms of events, fundraising, and also some corporate sponsors. So I hope that is more a budget, more conservative budget. So I hope my hope is that we'll be able to cover all the deficit we have at 2024 in 2025. And all the project work continues. And in terms of the project reporting, we had all the reporting done with all the granting agency. We have submitted all the financial to the CROs needed. So we have our compliance on those grants. And if there is any question on any particular specific, I can share this with you and also take any question if there is. Yes.
Would it be possible to get into Solar Arts City, like not right now, but can we get this?
Yes, I can just email that, these two documents. Okay. So I believe if there is no question, there will be a motion. Yes. We need a seconder.
Joe, seconds.
Yes. Is there any opposition of approving the motion? I think we're good. Thank you.
Carrie?
Yes.
Now, I'm not sure if, John, if you're prepared to mention anything about the Stitch project, which we have a large grant that we are working with a company called Stitch. Digital Museums of Canada is the grant, I believe, the grantor. So, John, is there anything update on that should be aware of in the minutes?
No, just reporting that the project is on schedule. We're expecting almost any time now. That's something that gives us a sense of look and feel what the energy is going to look like. Ariella is doing probably one of the major portions at this point, both artistically and content-wise. Hopefully this property is something
No, that's all right. So a question, John, working with the Digital Museums of Canada, do they anticipate any sort of a preliminary vision for the
They do,
SS Atlantic?
but it's all well defined in the schedule, and the current status is basically we're on schedule, so
Okay, so by next, okay, but by next June, do you think it'll be done, or are we, so that's the plan, scheduled it? Okay. Every month, we're getting an update from them, yes, but we haven't seen, not like, it's sort of like your project, we know what's going on, but your project, no.
Right here and there in Ontario, like, I'm happy to show you that. I've always said I can come to board meetings.
Well, I think
show you an audio
that's probably what's going to have to happen, because we've been, what, a year and a half, we haven't seen anything close to what you produced. So we're hoping it's still moving, but
Oh, yeah, it is. I've always said, like, this, I'm happy to show you.
it's just we need reassurance that things are, they don't have to be in color, they can be black and white, you know, okay. Right, okay. But I just, you know, sometimes you get nervous after a year and a half, you hear if we're moving up to schedule and everything's doing.
Walt is who's on your board.
Yep,
Straps is the liaison for that project.
yeah, John and Walter are in that. So they'll. I didn't hear you, sorry. I said I get to see some of it because I did some recording. Oh, okay. Okay, good. Well, I hope so, because if we're going to reach out to the public who can't make it to Terrence Bay, to the center, that's the only way we're gonna be able to do it, so it's gotta be.
All these websites and that project, that's what that's.
Yeah, not that we're not happy to see people come to the center at Terrence Bay, and it's beautiful enough, the whole area, Terrence Bay, but we just don't, people aren't traveling, they're not coming even to Nova Scotia, so that's the issue. Anyway, new business. Thank you very much, John and Ariel, and I guess you folks, okay. Election of directors, just want to remind people that basically it's a one-year term. Directors usually have a monthly meeting where it's more of a update and also to deal with issues as they come up, and sometimes a decision has to be made, and that's where it happens. Now, we can have up to 15 directors. So we're at this time, I'm going to say there's a final call, nominations for directors for 2025-26. And if we have more than 15 people's names, then we're obviously going to have an election. So, John, have you heard anything from the phone or from the internet? No. Nothing? Okay. Okay, now, we have certain people who have already told me that they're planning to stay on for next year. Scott and John and Sheila and Shirley and Mabuber. And I'm going to put my name forward as well. So Gordon.
No.
So those are the people who are currently on the board who wish to reoffer. Now I'm going to go to the floor and say, are there any individuals who want their names put forward as well? And we can vote for everybody at the same time. Okay, Jason. Okay,
Can I spell the last name? L-A-N-D. Thank you. Couldn't hear.
it's hard to hear it's hard to hear people talking, so you have to speak up. And is there anybody else? call 3 times, so. Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations? Having no further nominations, I would declare this to be a complete list of directors for 2025-26. Now I ask for the people here to make a decision, and you all have your little voting cards. I can't see them because of the light, but the people who are members are the voters. So all those in favor of the listed people, show up your card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we have 7. Those, what? Yeah, oh, 8, sorry. And opposed? I see none. I'd say this is the slate of directors for 2025-26. I would ask the new members if they could provide an email to the front desk at the entranceway. That way we can contact you for our next meeting, which will be in September, usually the 3rd Monday. It's usually at the center in the good months, and in the risky months, we have it in the evening on a Zoom, same time. But more information will come to you about that. Sure, Carolyn? I may be incorrect. I'll check with my parliamentarian, John, but my understanding is that elections are for 1 year and they are AGM to AGM. If there's a vacancy, the board can. Right now there's 7 vacancies. Yeah. Oh, is there? So you can. Okay, great. Okay. You can't. You have. My understanding is next AGM, we can get 15, but right now, we have 8. If someone resigns, you can replace them. Okay, is that listed in your bylaws? Yes. Not standard practice at all? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so that's not standard at all. No, I know it's not. Okay. That's the advantage of being the SS Atlantic Society Heritage Park. So you like to see a change in the bylaws? Yeah. Okay. You'd like to make that as a motion? Yeah. Okay. So you would like to move that the bylaws be changed? I'm going slow here for Joan. Changed to permit or allow the board to Okay, this would be done at a board meeting or at an AG? Well, to change the bylaws generally, you need to give notice and then do it at an AGM. Yes. And then do it through like a special meeting. You have to call a special meeting for that. Okay, so the intent of your motion is, Ariella, the intent of your motion is that we allow the board to add more members during the year, not at the AGM, but during the year? Yeah, and they still get voted on at the AGM by all the members, but yeah. It's standard board practice for boards who lose members or who don't have enough members on their board to fill those empty spots in between AGMs. And then yeah, I'm trying to get a motion from you that's precisely what you want.
So just give me a second.
So Joan's going to work with her wordsmithery and put something together for you. And then we need a seconder. So. And Shirley will second it. Okay.
Kind of.
Kind of.
Okay, I kind of have something here. So Ariel would like to move the bylaws be changed to allow the board to take on additional board members to complete any empty places on the board to fill the 15 allowable spots in between AGM meetings. Is that kind of it?
Okay, and it's seconded by Shirley. Jolly Moore?
I can word it a bit better, but that's the gist of what
Yeah.
you want to be able to do.
It's not like you're trying to do something kind of surreptitious, those people will get voted in at the next AGM. Like, there's no reason not to do this.
Well, I may be incorrect, but John, correct me if I'm wrong, we can convene a special meeting of the SS Atlantic, not an AGM, but a special meeting to focus on that, is that correct?
Well, that's based on how you structure the bylaws. Now, the bylaws are.
But our current bylaws allow us to
The numbers you see at the table are defined by what's established at the AGM.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you want to change it so that you can extend it, you have to have special members meeting to extend, and then once extended, you can fill spots. Now, depending on how you establish your bylaws, we can certainly investigate how to rework the bylaws, and as long as it's acceptable, about joint stops, they're fine.
No, they don't set our bylaws.
I wouldn't say that exactly, we've had things pushed back by joint stocks, but they are very plausible, so yeah, no problem working with them.
Okay. Where did Mububer go? Now the lights, is he just out there?
So you're saying that you want, so we have 8, we're allowed 15. So you want to be able to fill those vacancies.
If there's people that are interested
Right.
or that.
But you said, but they're not voted on until the AGM?
Standard governance practice for nonprofit boards is that the board can, appoint those board members in the interim.
Okay.
They're formally part of the board, they vote and everything, but then they're voted on by the membership at the following AGM.
Okay, that's what I wanted to be straight, get straight, yes.
Good governance practice.
So actually, the board would be appointing those people into the empty spaces, but then it would be voted on at the AGM.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he left? Okay. Okay, is there any other business before the meeting?
Well, we have a motion, and Shirley seconded, but
Okay. Do we have the motion?
that's as far as it got.
Okay. Do you want to have the motion read again?
Okay, I'm just
Make sure we got it
rewording
the way you like it?
Right,
We'll just have it read one more time so it's clear in everybody's mind before we...
So Ariel would like to make a motion to change the bylaws to allow for the Board of Directors to nominate board members to complete their quota in between AGM meetings. Right, to appoint members to complete the quota that's allowed for the directors. Okay, and Shirley seconds.
Okay, Shirley seconded that. Is that correct, Shirley? Okay. Moving on, we have a motion on the floor. Everyone has heard it. All those in favor, signify by raising their little red card. And those opposed? I declare it passed. We'll send that to the directors next meeting.
Right, and then so you can decide if you're gonna have you'll have to have a special meeting, I guess, to pass that, huh?
I would say. Okay, is there any other business in front of the board, in front of the AGM? Yes, John?
Need a motion relative to articles.
Motion to what?
Relative to articles.
Oh, yes. Traditionally, the SS Atlantic asked for a motion that the directors will attest to the financial report of 2025. So that's a motion supposed to have dealt with earlier. So there's a motion to allow the directors to attest to the financial report of 2025. Needs a mover and a seconder. 2024, sorry. 25 is it, we vote for this budget year. Is there a mover and a seconder? Sheila is moving, second by Scott. Those in favor, signify by saying aye, or raise your card, sorry. Against? I declare passed, carried. Any further business in front of the meeting this evening, other than eating the sandwiches I brought? Shirley has moved to adjourn the meeting. Anyone not in favor? Thank you. I know, but you could have a whole bunch of people jump up at the last minute.
All right.
Say, I paid for parking.
Sure.
Well, thank you very much, folks. There's all sorts of coffee and tea and sweets and vegetarian trays and all that sort of stuff. So eat up, enjoy, and stay and chat. And I think Mike Lamplugh has set up the music at the background at on the computer, so.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming out.